व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम श्री राम जय राम। ओम श्री राम जय राम। ओम very many of you, or almost everybody, would have gone through the satsang held in the ashram by Swami Muktananda ji in the afternoons between 3:30 and 4:30. And however, I thought because of the special significance that this particular day has, I would like to repeat whatever was being told. What is that? It means that on this day, that is 15th May 1931, the ashram was started. That is the significance. It is about 92 years as on 15th May 2023. So I said, let me, almost it is a repetition of what Muktanand Swamiji did. But I thought it was something really extremely good, and therefore I would repeat it. And later on, if time permits, we will go through the prayers and see what is the significance of the prayers which we keep on hearing every other day. So keeping that in view, let me start off. As of today, and we'll see that now. Let's come back to what it was. Everybody knows how what happened with Papa and Mataji in Kasargod Ashram, and how they had to leave that place. And let us look at what it says. As was natural, the household were shocked to hear of the dreadful situation through which Ramdas and Krishnabai had to pass at the ashram. The fall of the water pot had caused permanent injury to the lower end of Krishnabai's spinal cord. In spite of the excruciating pain, she was patient and cheerful as if nothing has happened to her. Her resolution was made that he should leave Kasargod the very next day. The night passed by. The earliest train on the following day, and he and Krishnabai with Chandrasekhar Rao came to Hosadurga. In Hosadurga, there was some mothers who were keenly anxious to have him at their house for some days. To fulfill their long-cherished desire, on alighting at the Kanjangad station, he directed his steps straight to their house. The party was received by the kind mothers with great joy. His future plan was unsettled. This is how Papa has written in the book, The Vision of God, in the Vision of God. And he is now repeating, he is now telling us exactly what happened. And he made a decision, Papa and Mataji made a decision that they will leave ashram, the Kasargod ashram, close it once and for all, and move back. Now they went to Kanjangad. Then we will see what it says about. After a few days' stay, Ramdas and Krishnabai, at the invitation of T. Babashni Shankar Rao, came to Manjapati, now known as Ramnagar, for the opening ceremony of his newly built house at that place. It means at that time, there was no plans of what is to be done or what is not to be done. Papa had not still thought about it. Bhavani Shankar Rao and others pressed Ramdas to have an ashram built near in the Manjapati hill, which place was discovered to be not only solitary, but also possessing all the scenic grandeur of the countryside. Now, we don't want to go through all the descriptions which Papa has been giving about the temple there, the tank there, what was Manjapati. Manjapati was what is Maungal today. And we will straight away go to the subject concerned. So after everybody wanted to make an ashram, asked Papa to make an ashram, agreeing to the suggestion of the friends, Papa decided to have an ashram erected on a small hillock by the side of the towering hill, the highest in the range. At once, God, who gave the idea, set him to work for accomplishing it. He wrote appeals for funds to the innumerable friends all over India with whom he had come in contact during itinerant life. This we have seen in Quest of God. In Quest of God, he has given a details of his tour everywhere. And during that period, and in the Vision of God itself, his second trip, which he went through every other places. So anybody who's interested can go back and read these portions. At once God gave the idea, set him to work for accomplishing it. He wrote appeals to funds for the innumerable friends all over India with whom he had come in contact during his itinerant life for making up the cost of the new ashram. The encouragement and help he received on all sides was simply marvelous. Within a month of his arrival at Ramnagar, the work of erecting the ashram building was started. The friends who offered the suggestion heartily joined in. The ashram work was begun only 3 months, and the ashram was begun only 3 months before the breaking of the monsoon. So the work had to be hurried on. In 3 months, the main ashram building and the outside building behind it was completed. Now, there is something which is not written by Papa here, but which we have heard so many times. And that is that when this building was being built, when the ashram came into being and it started, and once it started, the devotees who were the most of the Bombay devotees who had attended went back to Bombay, and they sent a letter to Papa telling him that now that the ashram has come into being, now this is not in the Vision of God, but this is what we heard, and that's why I'm telling you. Now that the ashram has come into being, to run the ashram, we have started mobilizing funds. This was for the information of Papa. When this thing came to Papa by letter, Papa sent a telegram back. He said that stop all mobilization. He who has brought this ashram into being knows how to run it. If there are funds, let us run it. If there are no funds, let us stop it. This was the first time that first and immediate reply from Papa, which is upheld even as of today. If most of you who would know, I am repeating myself just to be heard, because many of you know more than me. So if it is a repetition, please tolerate me. In the ashram, the centenary building, there is a board, almost I think it is a red board, in which the bylaws of the ashram are written down. And in that, this comes out as one of them, that uh, no funds should be kept there with to make any profit out of it, in the sense that it is written that the amount that is received is not to be put even in FD. It is not to be even put in a fixed deposit, so because it earns money. This was number one. Number two, it also says that the no property is to be bought in the name of the ashram. And number three was that one of the conditions was that no branches will be made. If Bangalore there is something, it is not a branch of the ashram. It is the disciples of Swami Ramdas Satsung Samiti. It is their building. It is not not supposed to be part of the ashram, because ashram did not want to make any branches. You can now imagine how great our ashram is in our own eyes. Of course, for Papa, it didn't make any difference. But exactly, when we look back, and for all these years, how it has come up. They went through, when Papa was there, Puja Swamiji was there. They had a very tough time running the ashram. But as Papa said, God did not want it to be closed, and therefore it kept on growing and growing and growing. Now let's come back to our opening ceremony, and that this is also given in the Inquest of God. The opening celebration. The opening ceremony of the new ashram, which is also named Anandashram, came on the 15th May 1931 in response to the invitations. Hundreds of people from different parts of India assembled for the occasion. Bhajan, kirtan, feasts, and distribution of food, etc. to the poor went on for 10 days. The hills of Ramnagar resounded with the thrilling music of the Lord's glorious names. From Maharashtra, about half a dozen devotees attended the function. These devotees took wholehearted part in the bhajans and kirtans. At the opening ceremony, as requested by the assembled devotees and friends, Ramdas delivered a short speech. Briefly put it runs as follows. Ramdas has the supreme delight to speak to you today a few words at the inauguration of this holy ashram. The ideal which the ashram holds before it is universal love and service, based upon a vision of divinity in all beings and creatures of the world. Here, every man, woman, or child, to whatever denomination, creed, or caste the person may belong, shall have the free access. This is a place where every effort will be made to cultivate the spirit of mutual love and service, so that what is realized within its walls may prove as an example for the right conduct of human life in the outside world. The Lord is our help and guide in all matters. May He, with all His bounty, shower His blessings on the great service which this home of love and bliss has undertaken to discharge. Now, here something which Swamiji had pointed out and read out at that time was that this speech has been reproduced in a way in a board which is put outside the centenary hall. As you enter the centenary hall, towards your left, there is a fairly big board where ashram is there and Papa is sitting in the on the steps of the new ashram that was built at that time. And the message of Param Puja Papa on the inauguration day, it again reads, Ramdas has the supreme delight to, to speak to you today a few words at the inauguration of the Holy Ashram. This is what is painted on that photo, which is in front of the Centenary Hall. The ideal which the ashram holds before it is universal love and service based upon a vision of divinity in all beings and creatures of the world. Here, every man, woman, or child, to whatever denomination, creed, or caste the person may belong, shall have free access. This is a place where every effort will be made to cultivate the spirit of mutual love and service, so that what is realized within its walls may prove as an example for the right conduct of human life in the outside world. Lord is our help and guide in all matters. May He, with all His bounty, shower His blessings on the great service which this home of love and bliss has undertaken to discharge. Here, I think something needs a little emphasis, and we will just see what it is. Now, first and the foremost is that Papa is telling the same thing over again and again and again, that everything is based on universal love and service, based upon, this is the most important portion of it, based upon a vision of divinity in all beings and creatures of the world. That means He is seated within our hearts, and that is the common factor for all of us to be bound together. That is the factor to which each one has to respect the other. Each one has to live with the other peacefully and spreading Papa's messages as much as possible. He again goes further ahead. Here, every man, woman, or child, to whatever denomination, creed, or caste the person may belong, shall have free access. This is the place where every effort, there we're talking about the ashram. This is the place. Oh, sorry, my mobile is causing me a lot of problem. Right, I have switched off my mobile for some time. Here, every man, woman, or child, to whatever denomination, creed, or caste the person may belong, shall have free access. This is a place where every effort will be made to cultivate the spirit of mutual love and service. To that, what is realized within its wall may prove an example for the right conduct of human life in the outside world. If we look back uh, to a very great extent, although we are not, I'm not very sure about others, but I am not one of those who is completely what Papa has wished. I hope I could reach that level. But to a very great extent, when we are, at least when we are within the ashram, we treat all of this, all are equal, and we go out of the way to help others. Of course, our smallness, with all sorts of our anxieties, shortcomings, there are certain reservations, and we do not follow it 100%, but still it is a great thing that it happens, which will guide us to uh, which will guide us to have our conduct revived, improved. Papa now goes and says, the Lord is our help and guide in all matters. And for us, most of us, it is Papa himself. He is the Lord, and he is in that form. May he, with all his bounty, shower his blessings on the great service which the home of love and bliss has undertaken to discharge. Now, this is the one which he read out, but there was a lot of other things. So those who are interested can go back and speak about this. Now, let me go through what Papa has written and complete this. Now, Krishna Bai, although greatly weakened by the injury she had sustained at the Kastargod ashram, brought all her rare skills and indefatigable energy to bear upon the management of the function. Every program was gone through with exactness and regularity. Those who have been seen Mataji in action would admit that nothing less was expected from Puja Mataji. It must be admitted that Krishna Bai is a born organizer and exhibited in all things her wonderful capacity for handling difficult situations. For soon after the opening of the buildings, torrential rains accompanied by thunder, lightning, and storms swept over the ashram building. But the radiant and ever calm figure of Krishna Bai was moving about in the assemblage like an angel ministering to the minutest wants of all. None of the visitors went without her special care and service. In short, she had her maternal eye upon all alike. In fact, in short, she had her maternal eye upon all alike. At the time of the opening of the ashram, we had the most illuminating sayings of the great religious teachers of the world, neatly written out in block letters on thick sheets of paper in English, Sanskrit, Marathi, and these were framed and hung up on the walls of the bhajan hall. Also, the Rama mantra was painted on the walls in different languages. The sayings were, 1. To those men who worship me alone, thinking of no other, to those ever harmonious, I will bring security, and which is written in the Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. God is love. He who dwells in love dwells in God and God in him, Jesus Christ. Number 3, God resides in that heart in which there is compassion, forgiveness, and peace. Santa Tukaram. God resides in that heart in which there is compassion, forgiveness, and peace. Number 4, he who wears his body in God's service, who has Ramnam always on his tongue, who walks always on the path of righteousness, such a servant of the Lord is blessed on this earth. Samartha Ramadas. Number 5, dedication of wife, son, house, and life to God is the perfect path of devotion. This is truly called worship. Eknath Maharaj. Number 6, abandoning all duties, come to me alone for shelter. Sorrow not, I will liberate these from all sins. The Gita. After the lapse of a few years, many of these are replaced by the pictures of those teachers who are still adorning the walls of the ashram. They are those of Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Sharadamani Devi, Sai Baba, Jesus Christ, Aurobindo, Ramana Maharshi, Buddha, Zoroaster, Vimakananda, Guru Nanak Dev, and Gurudev. Ramdas had realized the unity of all religions and his love and the administration to go to all these spiritual teachers equally. He is at once the servant of all the Almighty and the child of the seers. his blissful, how blissful it is to feel and be conscious of this truth. Now, this is exactly what he has. These are the words of Papa. And then now, a few days after Ramdas left Kasargod, Mother Rukmabai, who was still staying at her daughter's house, came to Ramnagar after a short stay, proceeded to Madras to spend a few days with her nephew. She had a great mind to live permanently with Ramdas in the new ashram, but God willed otherwise. Soon after her arrival in Madras, her asthmatic complaint took a serious turn. Her condition became critical. At this time, her nephew questioned her as to whom she wanted to see, and she at once replied, "I want to see Krishna Bai." She also added, "If I should at all recover, it will be possible only under her tender and careful nursing. For during my last illness at Kasargod, when I was at the very doors of death, she alone could save me from its jaws." But it was not possible for Krishnabai to go to her. A few days later came the news that she passed away. May her soul ever rest in peace. Now, this reminds all of us that it would be nice for us to go through this wonderful book, In the Vision of God, because most of the time we talk about in the in Quest of God, and even In Quest of God has gone through a lot of it's not, there is no change in anything, but what has come out is that now the book has been after this centenary thing, it has been written as reproduced as a signposts and milestones, a study guide for Swami Ramdas in Quest of God. That means that I'll stop with this, which had been what I wanted to bring out was the board which is in front of the centenary hall and the opening ceremony of the ashram. Every time I go there, I at least in my period of about say 15 days, at least 10 times I will read the board again and again and try to visualize how things would have happened at that time in the ashram. This book which I am talking about is a reproduction of the book In Quest of God by Papa. Now, what happened was 1 year prior to last December, Swami Muktanand had sent out word that for 1 year we will do a in-depth study of the In Quest of God and try to see why Papa, first of all, try to see what Swamiji, what is the message or what is it that Papa wanted us to see from his writing. Now here it occurred to me also that Papa, he did not want any advertisement. He did not want the whole world to think that he was a great person or anything of the sort, and therefore he wrote what all happened during his itinerant life. All that he wrote that book for us to see and to learn and to at least get a view of why Papa wrote this book. Now, you will be surprised to see that when throughout a lot of people read through and they got a lot of messages and they said, this might be what Papa wants to give us the message. And those after about 198, if I am not mistaken, 198 points were brought out in that book, which we normally, when we read that book, we do not pay attention to what message Papa is trying to give us. We start appreciating Papa, who doesn't need anything. But this is exactly what happens with us, that we start saying how great Papa was when he went with barefoot, when he went, climbed and that hill where he could have fallen down, and where he went to that temple, there was no darshan. He went to this temple, all of a sudden he got a special darshan. All this is normal. But then when you really go through the book, you will find that Papa is trying to give us some message which would help us in our progress towards God realization, which is a very, very far way, far off thing, but still we can try to aspire to that. And we don't have the time to go through this. However, I would like to tell you as to what exactly happened. And now, what happened in now is that this book, new book which has come out, the signpost and milestones, a study, in-depth study, a guide for Swami Ramdas in quest of God. The very first thing that comes out is the first and foremost charity an aspirant needs while in quest of God is to have the right concept of God, addressed by beloved Papa as Ram. This can be gained from this article. That is, when you read the first article, you will find it. Now, for example, now big struggle next time, my turn comes, and if Papa wills, I'll go through the first chapter again, although every one of you would have gone through it umpteen number of times. And then, after the first chapter is over, there is a list given as to what a lot of people felt. For example, number one, utter helplessness leads to intense prayer from the bottom of the heart. That is exactly what happened with Papa. Prayers are answered intuitively from the core of our brain, the great void. Now, that's exactly what Papa kept on telling us all the time, that when the prayer is made sincerely and intuitively, the prayer gets answered. Obviously, the prayer is not meant for worldly things and whatever things which are beyond the karmic cycle which is going on. You cannot change the karmic cycle. So, only thing is we can ask for his help to give us the strength to get over the problems that faces. Then the third one is great void. The synonym of Ram stands for all enveloping reality, which remains ever untouched and unaffected by the different characteristics that separate one form from the rest. Go to the source of everything. These are the messages that are given. Papa is trying to tell us. Now, this is how there are about 9 points like this. And next time when we get the time, we'll go through that. And those of you who are interested may get this book from the ashram and try to go through it if you want to do an in-depth study of this book also. Something else I wanted to do, but I don't think I have the time to do that. Only thing is I'll touch upon it. Something which I felt that most of the time we read the prayer, we listen to it, we are happy to listen to it, but hardly do, at least I'm only talking about myself and my feelings because most of you are beyond this, is that we do not pay that the amount of attention that we need or amount of concentration that we need while doing that particular thing. Now, with these 3-4 stanzas of Guru Bhakti, which I read every day, we'll go through that next time onwards and see how it goes. There's hardly 1 minute's time. I'd like to thank each one of you to having heard me and I'll repeat Ram Nam for a few minutes, for this 1 minute. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram